boy, oh boy, round 2 has wrapped up, and my god, was it not as dramatic as round 1, but still pretty interesting. Some pretty mind-blowing results. Maybe not so mind-blowing, but pretty surprising results, especially, I reckon. Anyway, so let's review round 2. I'm going to give my 2 cents on what I think round 2 was all about, what I thought about the games. So, round 2, game 1 started off with Richmond versus Collingwood. Was a bit surprising in terms of just the lack of motivation for the Tigers. It was a bit weird. They certainly didn't look like they wanted to be there. They didn't look like they wanted to be playing that day. They just weren't there. They didn't show up. It was weird. So Collingwood deserved that win, and they should have honestly won by more. Dima was saying in his post-game conference, they were lucky to be within a few goals at 3/4 time. Collingwood should have been way ahead. I think at halftime the game should have been done. It should have just ended at halftime, because there should have just been like a 100-point lead. Obviously, big blow with Jack Riewoldt getting his wrist injured. Luckily, it's not, you know, more than what it is, which should be 4 weeks. Luckily, it wasn't. People were saying it was going to be 8 to 10 weeks. Lucky that didn't happen. So hopefully, that's a speedy recovery. So the Swans versus Adelaide. I did watch a little bit of that one, but I was expecting Adelaide to win, and they did. So that was good for them. They won pretty comfortably as well. Little bit worrying signs for Sydney. They've lost their 2 first games now. Any team that does that, it's not a very good sign. So yeah, that's gonna be a bit worrying. Essendon versus St Kilda. St Kilda won that. That's scary. That's pretty scary in terms of. I'm concerned for Essendon as much probably everyone else is at this point. I'm not sure where they are. I'm not sure where they're going. I'm not sure how they're going to go this year. They're going to bounce back. Next game for them is a big one. It's versus Melbourne. Essendon versus Melbourne. Melbourne's in the same boat as Essendon, not as dramatically, but if Melbourne lose that game, I think the roles will be reversed almost to some extent, because Melbourne should win that game. Melbourne should win. But if it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a real good one. I think it's going to be a real good one. Essendon versus Melbourne. God, Essendon, man, like, what's going on with them? There was this part, I don't know who they are, but the 2 Essendon players, the ball was towards the boundary line. It didn't go out yet, and these 2 Essendon players just ran past it and fucking left. What? I've never seen something so bizarre in a game of footy. What? Like, I literally have never seen something so, like, careless, so, like, they just didn't give a shit. So bizarre, so bizarre. St Kilda deserved that win, purely just from that bit of play. There was Port versus Carlton. Not very surprising game at all. I didn't watch it, I don't know if anything happened. Oh, actually, there was a few injuries on Port. That's a bit upsetting. I'm pretty sure there was injuries with Port. Hope that goes well, but yeah, it's always sad to see players get injured. I'm not sure who they were. I don't know anything about it. I think there was like two injured players in that game. I'm not too sure. But Port got the win. Carlton apparently were looking pretty good as well, so interested to see how Carlton go this year. That'll be fun. Geelong versus Melbourne. This was bizarre. I forgot who I tipped in my predictions video, but I'm pretty sure I remember saying, I think I tipped Melbourne, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if Geelong win it. But boy, I'm surprised that Geelong won that by, what, 80 plus points, or 80 points exactly. That's mind-boggling. That's bizarre. Geelong, serious premiership contenders now after that game, I reckon. I think Geelong are really up there if they can be consistent at winning. I mean, I didn't watch the game, I'm not sure how good they were, but if they can be consistent at winning, as comfortable as this, I reckon, watch out for Geelong, I'm not sure who they're playing next week, but that'll be, who are they playing next week? I'll find out right now. Oh, Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. That'll be a good game, that'll be a very good game. I'm not sure how I'm going to tip for that, I'll think about that. Anyway, West Coast versus the Giants. I watched this game, and it was really incredible from both teams showed positive signs, but really incredible from West Coast point of view. They just controlled the ball fantastically. There, they just had control over it, especially in the last 2 quarters. They just had complete control over the ball movement, and it was a great for West Coast fans to see that win, because next week is going to be a doozy. I think either teams could win it. Collingwood are a bit red hot at the moment, but West Coast are going to want to back themselves up and say, hey, yes, Collingwood's winning these games at the moment. They're looking really good, but if West Coast win it, they'll be premiership favourites, surely. But that's going to be a good game, and this was a really good game in round 2. The next game was North versus Brisbane, another bit of an upset. Actually, no, I did watch this game. I watched most of this game, not all of it, but I watched most of it. I did tip Brisbane, I'm pretty sure, and very impressed. I'm very impressed by Brisbane. It's going to be a good year for Brisbane. Brisbane supporters, it's going to be a good year for you. Obviously, I live in Queensland, so I want to see Brisbane win. I don't go for them, but I do want to see Brisbane win. I want to see Brisbane up there. I got a lot of mates who go for Brisbane, and so I'm keen to see if they can sustain these wins. I'm not sure their draw. I'm not sure who they're playing next week or whatever. I'm pretty sure next week is a pretty tough week for them, isn't it? Oh, Port. No, that's an average game. I reckon they could win that pretty comfortably, hopefully. So yeah, North versus Brisbane. There was a big expectation on North to win that. They weren't playing so great for most of it. I think they took the lead a couple of times, but overall I think Brisbane played that game pretty well. Brisbane are now 2-0. That doesn't... I don't think that happens very much for them. It doesn't happen to a lot of teams at all very often, I don't think. So very good win for Brisbane. Interested to see how they go. It's going to be a good year for them. Alright, then we had Hawks versus the Bulldogs. This is a pretty good game. Hawks it was sort of up and down for, I think, the first half, and then Hawks really took off and had a pretty big lead at 3/4 time. But then the Bulldogs just dragged it back down and managed to win by a pretty comfortable margin. That was pretty bizarre. That was so very good in terms of the Bulldogs. I've heard that they're really back in their 2016 form, which is really exciting to hear because they've won their first 2 games now. So Bulldogs fans, don't rule them out of the premiership. I don't think. I think that if they can keep winning, obviously if they can keep winning, they'll be premiership contenders. But I reckon they really could be if they return fully back to 2016 form. Get their shit together, much like other teams, they could be up there. Don't rule them out. I think it's pretty unlikely that they'll win it, but don't rule them out. Much like Geelong, much like Hawks, don't rule Hawks out. Don't rule Adelaide out. But yeah, definitely on the lower end of it, but they could win it. They could win it. You never know. And then the last game of the round was Gold Coast hosting Fremantle. This was a very low-scoring game, to say the least. Wasn't a very entertaining game. There was a few good moments, I suppose, but it wasn't very good. I was full on tipping Fremantle, thinking Fremantle got this easy. Very, very disappointing from Fremantle point of view. They're not going to enjoy that at all. They need to bounce back from that. And if they don't, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Gold Coast is going to be like this year. Is this going to be their only win? Are they going to have a few more wins? I have no idea. But yeah, very interesting game. Very low scoring game. I didn't like it at all. But yeah, very surprising that Fremantle lost. I did tip them to win it. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Fremantle next. They've got, I think, St Kilda next week, and then they've got West Coast, I'm pretty sure. The big derby. That'll be a good game. But I'm pretty sure Eagles will win that quite comfortably. So that is round 2. Concerning signs for Richmond. Very massive concerning signs for Essendon. A little bit Melbourne. A little bit Fremantle. So we'll see what happens. Very keen for next week, especially as a Richmond fan. Keen to see how Richmond perform interstate. They were shocking last year. I'm going to tip GWS to win that game. So yeah, even if they had Alex and Jack in the team, I'd still tip Giants. The other game I'm looking forward to is Essendon and Melbourne. Whoever wins that, I don't even know. I'm going to tip Melbourne, but Essendon might end up winning it, and then Melbourne's going to... I don't know. It's so bizarre seeing Essendon and Melbourne, who would tip to go high up the ladder this year. So terrible, so low. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. Also, grand final rematch next week, I'm pretty sure. It is, West Coast versus Collingwood, it is at the MCG. I'm not sure how I'm tipping for that. I'll probably tip, I don't know, Collingwood, but I would want West Coast to win it. So I don't know. Well, this has been round 2 of AFL. My little 2 cents review sort of thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts down below if you enjoy this round. What were your surprises, your upsets, your stuff like that? Did you win anything on the bets or whatever? I won a little bit, lost a little bit, but all good. So, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like, subscribe if you would like, and I will catch you in the next video, whatever I decide to make next. So, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.